Hey, hello everybody, my name is CulBlu and I'm bringing out this video of me talking about some board games, and today I will be continuing with my video series going over my entire board game shelf showing and getting rid of half of them per shelf, rounded up. It's pretty cathartic. Cathartic? Is that the word I'm looking for? It's not relaxing by any stretch of imagination, especially with some of these shelves coming up. But it has been pretty informative because some games I have on my shelf, I'm like, why do I have this game still? Like, I have this game that's better than that game. So maybe I will decide to follow through with some of these games to get rid of. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to stick around. But for now, this is part 2. There's a part 1 video. Go check that out if you want to see the first hour of me going through this. I'm expecting this one to take another hour for me to get through the rest of them, especially considering some of the discussions that I had. I say because it's not my second time recording. It totally is my second time recording this part of the video. But at any rate, we're going to continue. This overhead view is going to be pretty useless to us, so I'm going to switch over to the tablet so we can all see the tablet screen before us. So let me switch that over now. Also, let me start the music before I forget. There we go. Cool. We got the music. All right. So here we have the tablet view. And on the tablet view, we can view the tablet. So we have so far gone over, if you see a little dot here that I have floating up here, we've gone over this left-hand section. So from here down, oh no. From here down and to the left, we've gone through those. So we're currently going to go through this whole legendary section down, and then we're going to go through this page, and then we'll be done. So it's going to take us a little bit to get through all that, but let's go ahead and continue our journey. So I did change colors of the marker to show that we're in another video, so we're using the white marker now. But let's go ahead and start. So starting with the legendary shelf, this one is pretty simple, straightforward. All of these games on this shelf are in a storage solution somewhere else. So technically I can get rid of all these boxes, because the rules for those who are joining this video and maybe don't want to go see the first one, the rules are essentially half of the games on the shelf that are showing rounded up, and boxes included. So even though these are expansions, they're still included. Also, let me turn the music down a little bit. Getting a little excited there. So that means that, you know, yes, I can get rid of this whole entire shelf, or boxes on the shelf. But I'm going to treat it as if I'm getting rid of the expansions themselves for this specific section, just because. Otherwise, it wouldn't be interesting. I just choose 3 and move on. So for here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have to get rid of 3 from 6. So getting rid of 3 from 6, let's see. I've kind of already gone through the logic of this, but I'll try to talk it out again. And by that I mean I was recording a video, my audio cut out somewhere, and I had to start over. So here's me starting over. So going through the logic of all that again, I think I said the X-Men one was the first one to go because the content that was involved in the X-Men expansion, the big box expansion, wasn't really compelling. In the Marvel Legendary series, the biggest teams are the X-Men team and the Avengers team. The Avengers being the largest, X-Men being second largest, and then there's other teams that are like kind of growing as well. I'm not that big of a fan of those teams. Either of those teams, they sound very boring. I'm more interested in like the smaller teams, like, you know, I'll say the Furious Five, but that's not a Marvel thing. Whatever the smaller teams are, I'm a little bit more interested in the smaller stories. So as a result, the whole X-Men series, it added some mechanics I wasn't really a fan of. Things like the epic villain. It's like, who's like, the villain's hard enough. Why are you making it harder? And like Murder World wasn't all that fun with all the traps. So this one can definitely go. 2 more. I think this is Secret Wars 1 and this is Secret Wars 2. Don't quote me on that. But this is Secret Wars 1, this is Secret Wars 2. I think Secret Wars 2 can go because Secret Wars 1 gave me some interesting, compelling content with the split cards and the people being like, you know, good guys or bad guys were good guys, and there were some good guys who were bad guys. It was fun. And Secret Wars Part 2 is just expanding upon that, giving more stuff. So that's kind of meh. And then finally, the Civil War one can go. I don't think I was all that interested in the Civil War. Well, the Civil War story was cool, but I don't think I was all that interested in the Civil War playing out in the Marvel universe, in the Legendary system. World War Hawk was really fun to see some of the Hawk characters come in, and like Warbreaker Hawk, and to play him and do some cool stuff. That was a lot of fun. Well, I guess he wasn't Warbreaker, but it was really fun, especially going against the Illuminati. And the Dark City was fun because it gave me, at the time that I was watching the Daredevil series on Netflix, it gave me the Daredevil, it gave me Punisher, I think it gave, did it give Punisher? Or was Punisher in the base game? I don't remember. It was fun. That's all I had to say. Ghost Rider was kind of meh. Oh, Colossus is in there too. Nice. Okay. Anyway, moving on. We got a lot of games to go through. So those are the 3 I chose for that one. Next shelf, we have this shelf here. And this one, I think we had 22, so 11, but let's count just in case. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10. 22, yes. So 11 of 22 have to go. I think a lot of the reasoning for me trying to get rid of some of these, I have not played all of this, all the content here in these expansions. So I'm taking some of this with speculation. Just to go right off the bat, these are in chronological order, I think, to the best of my ability. So the Fantastic Four one came out first, then Pt2 Red, then Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Fear itself, Deadpool, Captain America, Noir, so on and so forth. And this game has been going out. Marvel Legendary Hero series has been coming out for like 10 years, since like 2012, so 11 years. So there's a lot of stuff. That's why there's a lot of stuff here. And I've been purchasing it for 10 years. So who's the joke on now, huh? Anyway, that said, the content that's up here in the top, I have not played in for sure. And I literally just got these two like maybe a month and a half ago. So that goes a long way to say that I want to hold on to at least these two for sure. And of the content that's the least interesting to me, I think the cosmic stuff I'm not that big of a fan of, so I probably can get rid of the Cosmos, I probably can get rid of the Realm of the Kings, I probably can get rid of the Revelations, and I probably can get rid of Messiah Complex, or I'm going to get rid of Messiah Complex and also Doctor Strange. So that's all the Marvel cosmic stuff I'm not really all that interested in, or Strange stuff is like meh. And then continue from there, since I have to get rid of 11, so I'm being a little bit liberal with my brush that I'm painting here. The Legendary Shield one gave a interesting mechanic with some additional sidekicks, so I want to hold on to that one because it gave more stuff to the game. Dimensions, I think it was kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, so meh. The New Mutants, I think was X-Men stuff. We were talking about my feelings on the X-Men stuff relative to the Legendary series. It's kind of meh for me. Man, this is a lot of X's here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to get 4 more. I guess the Guardians of the Galaxy can go, Fear itself can go, Deadpool can go, and Captain America can go. Boom, done. The rest of these are compelling enough, or I've played with them, and I have relatively interesting memories. The Fantastic Four one can kind of go too by itself. The only reason why I'm kind of holding on to that one is because there's like a Fantastic Four team. It's like a smaller team. And I think there's one of these expansions, maybe the Annihilation, gives you a little bit more Fantastic Four stuff involved. So because I'm holding to that. Oh, also, actually, I want to trade Heroes of Asgard. I'm not interested in that. And I'll trade that for Messiah Complex. Because I think Messiah Complex was a big small box expansion. To clarify, Marvel Legendary sometimes it has 3 different expansions it comes out with. Yeah, 3 different ones. It has small box expansions that usually cost about $20, and then it has small big box expansions. Oh, pointed wrong. Small big box expansions that come out like $35, and then it has the actual big box expansions, which are usually like $45 to $50. So as a result, I think holding on to Messiah Complex will be nice because it gives me more content. I think Annihilation is also a big box expansion, but don't quote me on that. At any rate, those are my chosen. Those are my chosen 11. This is 10, 11. Oh, this is 9, 10, 11. Okay. Moving on. This shelf. So 1 of 2. This one's actually surprising. Don't be shocked when I mark out Mechs vs. Minions, because I did talk about it in the previous videos, but Mechs vs. Minions as a game is a programming game. And as a programming game, it's a cooperative. It has a really cool mechanic about the time system. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. And I'm going to let you finish in a minute. I'm happy for you. But as far as sitting down and playing it, like it's kind of meh. Like it's kind of meh. Like no pun intended on the Mechs versus Minions side of things. But it's not compelling. Like it's a fun solo puzzle. I'll give it that. Like playing it by myself solo is fun, but playing it with 2 or 3 people, like it becomes more chaotic and frustrating than I feel like the game should be. But that's kind of the nature of a lot of programming games in general. I think this is one of the better programming games. Don't get me wrong. Like, this is one of the better programming games. If I had to choose any programming game to where you have to like play a sequence of cards and then watch your character do those things in turn order as things happen to shift up the board, this is probably more the fun, one of the more fun ones in my opinion. That said, compared to Snap, I think Snap is very simple, straightforward fun. Literally, you're just trying to pull out pieces. It's a dexterity game. You're trying to pull out pieces, and if you pull a piece and the apparatus moves, then you lose your turn, and you lose the Pt2. So it's an interesting like little sit around the table, you know, beer and pretzels type game, if you will. And also it takes up less space on my shelf. Mechs vs. Minions is huge. Huge, man. I'm telling you, it's a gigantic box. For context, this shelf that Mechs vs. Minions and Snaps on is the same shelf that all of these small box expansions are on, which is also the same shelf that this is on. To be fair, there's a section on the shelf that's blank over here to the side that I don't have anything on. That's usually where I store my masks that I have, because I still wear masks because I have some immunocompromised friends. The pandemic isn't over, at least not in the United States, so it's always nice to be cautious and caring. End of my public service announcement. But that said, comparing all of these side by side versus the size of this box area, if you've never seen Mechs vs. Minions box, just let you know it's huge. So yeah. Also, you can count the pegs here if you wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that shelf height is 6. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the Marvel Legendary small box expansion. This is the space that it takes up. So yeah, that box is gigantic. It's ridiculous. Oh no! Sorry, I hit the button twice, my bad. Let's not turn on my camera, please. Thank you. All right, moving on. So yeah, some extra remains is gone. Onto this shelf, which I think is the last one on this page. We have these ones. I think this is 11 again, or is this 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So 5 out of 9 need to go. I've kind of already made the decision already. I made the executive decision. These are the expansions for Sleeping Gods. The boxes are empty, so those are going over there. And then over here, we have Warp's Edge. I think Warp's Edge is gone. As a solo game, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but I feel like I've solved the puzzle. I do have all the expansions so far. I have the Anomaly expansion, I have the Virulent Invasion expansion, I have little plastic pieces. It's cool, but it doesn't feel like it's enough difference in that game for me to enjoy it myself. So as a result, I think it's gonna go. And then there's one more needs to go. I want to hold on to Mosaic because I do want to play it. I've been searching for a while for a civilization building game, and Mosaic is one of the few that survived that search. Or, sorry, one of the few games that came out of that search, I should say. And I do want to actually play it one day. And I can play it solo, so that was definitely staying. Sleeping Gods, you know my feel, or hopefully you know my feelings on that one, but if you don't, I did enjoy the game quite a bit. I do not think it's all that compelling of a multiplayer experience, but that's a solo experience, a narrative game that I can kind of sink my teeth into for the story and the depth and the strategy that it gives me. I do enjoy Sleeping Gods. So now it's up to these three, which between these three, a little controversial opinion, but let's talk about them for a second. PAX Premier, I've never played, but I have played John Company and PAX Renaissance. I enjoyed the experience with John Company. If I'm playing with a 3 to 5 player count, it can play 1 to 6. I think 2 players is not fun because you have to control the bot, and the bot takes a lot of work to keep up and keep going. And then when you play with 6, I feel like 6 is too many people. Just too many people at the table at that point to kind of enjoy the experience. But when you have 3 to 5, you got people kind of wheeling and dealing between each other, you know, conflicting interests everywhere, and it's like, it really shines in my opinion. And I've only played it at, I think the biggest player count I played at was 3, and I played at 4, I lied. And I really enjoyed my experience with 4 players, because it was like people aligning with each other, and then the next turn stabbing each other in the back. It was like really fun. So that dynamism is very fun. Would not play it solo. PAX Premier, to clarify, I would not play any of these solo because the bot to make it function in these games is not really fun. It's a lot of input from the player to make it work. So as a result of that, I'm assuming that these games are being played at 2-player or higher. Because I played PAX Renaissance and I enjoyed my experience with it, I think the de facto one to go out is PAX Premier, which I know is a little bit of a controversial opinion because PAX Premier is kind of the darling in this entire PAX series for a lot of people. But for me specifically, as somebody who has played Root and enjoyed my time with Root, when playing Root, I think PAX Premier is one to go. And I'm only bringing up Root as a reference because that's the only point of reference I have for PAX Premier. From what I understand, PAX Premier is kind of like the precursor to Root, and then Cole really went to make Root after PAX Premier was a big hit. So that goes a long way to say that, assuming if I take what everybody's saying is true, that Root is kind of like the next iteration of PAX Premier, I'd rather play Root. So that's There. And to clarify, I'm not a huge fan of root, so take that how you will. All right, cool. So that's done with that, and I think we're finally on the next page. Yes, we are. So we are now moving on to this section of shelves, and I do intend to finish the rest of my shelves, which is this shelf and this shelf. So there's a lot of games here, so buckle up. We got a lot to go. This is probably going to be another 45 minutes of me talking about all my board game shelves and complaining about why do I still have this game or that game. So we're going to change our color pen. I'm going to change it to this brown color here. And we'll let that be. And let's get our music up a little bit. Okay, so this first shelf, I think this is 33 games. This is what the count was last time. So I need to get rid of 17 out of 33, but let's double check. For this section up here, I am counting these 4. And I'm also counting these 2, which are these 2 are expansions for Rallyman GT. This is the World Tour expansion and the team expansion, I think. Don't quote me on that. But I am counting those 6 games up top. And I'm also counting expansion boxes. I think I talked about this earlier, but just in case you're wondering why I counted that, because some of these are expansions. Oh no, I got a spoiler there already. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted 35. Okay, all right. I might have miscounted. Let me try to count it again. I counted 35. This is 4, 6. Yeah, it's 35. Wow. Okay. Looks like I miscounted last time. So that's a lot worse. So I gotta get rid of 18. Oof. I struggled to get rid of 17 last time, so getting rid of 18 is going to be a little bit harder. All right, so I'll save the Tiny Epic series for later. These boxes are empty technically, so I can get rid of those pretty easily. It's just 2 to my 18. Oof, that's a lot. Tough shelf here, tough shelf. Isle of Trains I never actually played, so I'm getting rid of that one. Oh My Goods, I know it's a good game. I know it's a fun game, but I'd rather play Tybor the Builder myself. But I do know Oh My Goods is a good game overall. So it's a good, compelling game. If you have it, you know, you probably didn't make a bad investment. But I'm getting rid of those because I gotta get rid of 18 apparently. So that's a grand total of 5. Making progress. Mint Delivery, Mint Control can go. Mint Cooperative I'm going to hold on to temporarily. We'll see if it survives in the end. But of the Mint series, there's Mint Works, Mint Cooperative, Mint Control, Mint Delivery, I think Mint Bid, and there's one more, or I think there's one more that I don't have, or maybe that's it. But at any rate, all the games in the Mint series are trash except for, in my opinion, are trash except for Mint Works. Fantastic game, phenomenal game, a gem amongst board games in general. Small, compact worker placement. It's not pictured here because it's in my car. Also, some games, or not all my games are shown on the shelf. Some games live in other places, like my car, or in like somebody's borrowing them, so they're not included in this erasing of half my games. But that said, Mint Works is definitely top in the Mint series. Mint Cooperative is basically Pandemic, but in a smaller container. So because of that, it's compelling enough for me to want to hold on to it, but we'll see if it survives. At any rate, a 7. Harbor can go away because Harbor is a simpler version of Tiny Epic Westerns, and I like Tiny Epic Westerns better. So, actually no, I lied. It's this. Is it? Yes, it's a simple version of Tiny Epic Westerns. Actually, no, hold on. No, that's not true. It's something else. Okay, now I don't remember which game. I want to say it was Tiny Epic Westerns. Yeah, I think Harbor was a simpler version of Tiny Epic Westerns. Because like the shipping mechanism in Harbor and like how you move it is the same mechanism that's used in the stock market for Tiny Epic Westerns. So sure, we'll just go with it. They're both made by Scott Elm, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he ported one idea into another. Anyway, moving on. The Builders, Pocket Builders, Master Builders. I never actually played it. It's gonna go. These two for the Grizzled, I do want to hold on to those because I think that's a compelling combination. It's a fun cooperative game in the world of Hanabi, but without being Hanabi, where you're not allowed to see certain information, but you're trying to cooperate to do a thing. Hokkaido can go. It's a tower lane game with cards, and it's fun and compelling, but in this list I had to get her 18. It's the one to go. Alright, speaking of the ones to go, the Tiny Epic series, I'm going to hold on to Arboretum because I do want to play that one day, and I did like the idea of it. With the trick-taking system, and you score based on the cards you have in your hand and stuff like that. That's an interesting idea. So, we are at 4, 7, 10. So we need to get rid of 8 more. So I'm going to just right off the bat get rid of some of these empty boxes. I know Curse, the pirate expansion is empty. I know that the map is expansion. Wow, the map pack is empty. I know that Heroes Call, that box is empty, and I think those are the only 3 that are empty. I think Story still has this stuff in it. Okay, cool. So that's 5 more to go down. So now I got to start getting rid of some of the games. So this is going to be a little bit controversial. I have a whole opinion that or a whole response that I wrote to somebody in a forum post about Tiny Epic series and my feeling of it as of current. I can link that in the comments if you want me to link that. If you're on Twitch watching, feel free to ask me. I might go find it after I'm done with the video. Just remind me. But that said, my general take on the Tiny Epic series is that it started having its downfall, in my opinion, when Tiny Epic Mechs came out. Because Tiny Epic Mechs advertised itself, or appeared to be, I should say. Maybe it didn't advertise itself, but it appeared to be this nice mech fighting game where you have your mech and you kind of get your guns and you shoot up people, and then your mech like punches stuff and you feel very powerful and you run around doing all kinds of cool stuff. But it ended up being an area control game where you're trying to program your character to move around and you're doing some area control stuff. And it was like, I feel like I was falsely advertised too. This is not what I signed up for. So long story short, it failed expectations. And I think it was the starting of the downfall. There is another one to mention, which is Tiny Epic Defenders First Edition. The first edition of Tiny Epic Defenders, my gosh, was it, in my opinion, bad. Tiny Epic Defenders Second Edition, which is what you see here. These two here, this is the second edition, this is Dark War, the expansion. Those games were phenomenal, fantastic, great, love it. The greatest thing ever. Okay, maybe not the greatest thing ever, but a really great, compelling glow up, in my opinion. So, Gamelin Games failed because Tiny Epic Kingdoms came out, and then Tiny Epic Defenders First Edition came out, and then Galaxies came out, and Defenders was just not good. It just wasn't good. But the second edition was way better, so I had hope for them, and then they came up with Mechs, and then it just started kind of going downhill from there for me. So at any rate, Mechs is gone. I think Pirates, I'm not a fan of that game as a mechanic. It didn't feel fun. I've only played it solo though, so maybe if I play it with more people, it might be a little bit more compelling. I'm not entirely sure. So feel free to make it pending opinion on that one, but for now, that one's gone. I think Kingdoms, it was the first one to come out. I do have sentimental attachments to it, but I do have to get rid of 18 games, so that one's gone. I think it was the not the strongest of games in the entire series for sure. And let's see, what else do we have? Dinosaurs. I think Dinosaurs is just a bigger version of Dino Island. Take that how you will. It was a good thing or a bad thing, but it was to the point where I was like, meh. I wasn't that much of a fan of Dino Island when I played it with my friend. So Tiny Epic Dinosaurs is gonna go. And let's see, am I at my number yet? Let's see. 4, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. One more. Oh, okay. Yep, one more to go. So the one more to go, I guess I can get rid of the expansion for Tiny Epic Galaxies. Because I think Tiny Epic I like the variety it gives. I don't know. Oh shoot, I forgot about this one. Alright, so Tiny Epic Stories can go. And so, well, no. Okay, yeah. Alright, the expansion for Tiny Epic Galaxies is going. I want to play Tiny Epic Dungeons. I hear some people have cooled on it greatly as a game because they felt it wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. Take that how you will. I do want to give it a shot. At any rate, though, these are the games on this shelf, which is a little bit of a brutal shelf because I had to go through the Tiny Epic series pretty critically here just to hold on to some stuff. But them's the breaks, y'all. Them's the breaks. All right, next shelf. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is going to be 5 of 11. So this one I've kind of already gone through. We're going to just kind of briefly recap some of the things I said previously. Before my recording told me that you're not recording anymore. So Valley of the Kings can go. It is a deck building game that's kind of in the same vein as Dominion, but with a few extra steps. The issue with it, in my opinion, is that it has a lot of loops and it's kind of broken. So as a result of that, I find it not as compelling of a game to sit down and play. The designer did mention that there are some rules to help fix the brokenness that they intended to include in the base game, or in the game when it got reprinted as a Kickstarter, but they did not get the rules out in time, which is unfortunate. But that means that if you want to go to the forums and find clarifications, you can, and that might help make the game better. Role player, that can go. The expansion, I like the base game enough, that's fine. Space Cadets can go. I like Captain Sonar better. And Tom Vassell from the Dice Tower actually pointed out that Space Cadets came out, and then Captain Sonar came out like 2 months, 3 months later. And I feel very bad for him because I remember getting Space Cadets thinking it was the greatest thing ever, and then I heard about Captain Sonar, purchased it, and never played Space Cadets ever again. So that's unfortunate. And 2 more. These 2 are well, 2 more? That's it? Wait. Yeah. No, oh, sorry. This is 11. Sorry, I should be getting rid of 6. Okay, yeah, that's what I see. That didn't sound right. Sorry, 6 of 11 I need to get rid of. So, 3 more. So 3 more. Castles of Burgundy can go. I have it digitally. It's pretty fun digitally. That's all I'll say about it. Rallyman Dirt can go because I think Rallyman GT as a board game, it's tiptoeing on that line of like fun, compelling, because when you play it solo, because you can play it solo, but when you play it solo, you're just racing against yourself, and you're trying to find the most efficient path, and it's kind of dice rolling. You find the most efficient path, roll the dice. If you roll well, then you do the thing. If you don't, then you're not going to have the efficient path anymore. That's what it boils down to. In Rallyman Rallyman GT becomes more fun, in my opinion, when you have 2 other people you're racing against. So 3 to 5 players, it becomes much more fun, in my opinion, because then you have people that are in your way in the efficient path, and you're trying to get around them, and you're trying to, like, you know, shunt them and stuff. It's all the fun stuff you can do. And Rallyman Dirt specifically loses that edge of that competitiveness with pathing, based on the simple fact that when you're playing the game, the person who's the first player, they'll play a round by themselves, and then in the second round, the first player will play another round, and then the second player will play their first round, and then the third round, the first player will play the third round, the second player will play the second round, and the third player will play the first round. And basically they're staggering the releases because you're doing like a rally race. You're not racing each other, you're just trying to have the best time. And because of that, that means that you're not blocking each other. There's no like pathing issues or no pathing challenges that pop up. And it becomes a meh game because you just follow the path your opponent did and try to roll the same thing they did, and you might or might not get it. So it becomes very less compelling, much less compelling. That said, because of Holy Grail's game's controversy, if you will, I think I will have to get rid of Rallyman GT as well, because one, I'm already kind of on the fence of it as a game that I enjoy. It has a lot of modularity with the tracks, and that's really compelling. And I have like a lot of small little metal Hot Wheels cars, world's smallest Hot Wheels, and it makes it to where the game's very thematic and pops and looks really nice. But going to the controversy where Holy Grail games kind of, you know, absorbed the cost during the pandemic with the shipping crisis and stuff, or the shipping supply chain issues, and they absorbed the cost and it became too expensive, and they closed their doors, and people didn't get their Rallyman Dirt expansions or Rallyman Dirt Kickstarters, and they weren't promised to get them. I don't know what that situation looks like nowadays. Long story short, a whole bunch of stuff that kind of just makes it look not great. So I think out of principle, it has to go. Cool. So that means that the 5 that survived were Terraforming Mars, of course, Neome, which is a city building game. Very plain, boring city building game, but I like this one better than Suburbia. So take that however you will. And then we have Bios Mesofauna, QE, and Role Player. Cool. Next shelf. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because this is suspend. So 4 of 8. So in this particular section, these are not board games. These are PC games. And these are books. So this box is, I forget the name of the game, but one of the games in there is EO, another one's Rubus, another one is Space Lunch, and these are like a little Matchbox game. That's what they are. I think these are Matchbox games, and there's 5 games inside of here. Oh yeah, look, it says right there. Here's EO, Golems, Rebus. I can't read. Oh, 17 days. 17 days? 13 days? And where's the other one? Yeah, Matchbox Collection. That's it. I don't know where the other one is, but there's 5 games in there. I promise. But at any rate, if I get rid of that one, it's getting rid of 5 games, is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, so 4 games. So Wingspan expansion can go. I'm not the biggest fan of Wingspan as an engine builder. It's not my engine builder of choice. These 2 expansion boxes for Tiny Towns can go. The expansions are in those boxes, and every time I try to sit down and play the expansions, or every time I sit down and play Tiny Towns with people, I play the base game, and we all enjoy our experience, but we never really want to go and play the game more to get into the expansion, so unfortunately it's there. And then Era is a roll and write game that has physical components. I only have the base game, and it becomes very boring, becomes very samey after a while. So as a result of that, I decided to mark that one off because I have other roll and writes that I enjoy much more. And that was kind of a roll in place, like there's nice physicality to it, but I feel it's a kind of meh game after your second or third playthrough with just the base game. If I got the expansions, it would be more fun. So yeah, so that's a pretty straightforward shelf to do. And the next shelf here, whew, boy, we got a lot of board games to go through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is 13. So it means we're getting rid of 7. So Kobayakawa is basically poker, but with less control, less strategy, if you will. Take that how you will. And see, next up we have Herbaceous, the card game. I have the Herbaceous Sprouts. Not the same game, or at least as far as I understand, not the same game. I've never actually played Herbaceous, the card game, but I have played Herbaceous Sprouts and I enjoyed my time with it immensely. So that means, unfortunately, Herbaceous, the card game's gone. Floriferous? Floriferous? I can't even pronounce that. That one's gone. I haven't played it. I have it, though, because it's part of the same collection with First Games there. This one is Parks Memories, I think. It's another Parks Memories. It looks pretty. I haven't actually played it. I don't know what the mechanics are like, so I'm just going to mark that one off. Easy mark off. Ticket to Ride, very easy mark off. I do not have interest in playing that. I'm not a fan of some of the evergreen games out there. Ticket to Ride, different one of them. Although this one, Ticket to Ride New York, is a 2-player, has a very intense 2-player version, is a very compelling 2-player version of Ticket to Ride. I think you can play up to 4, but from what I hear, it sounds like it plays good at 2. It's my assumption. Good couples game, there you go. That's what I was trying to say. And then, let's see, what do we say, 7? 2 more. The Whatnot Cabinet can go, and Bonanza. I have not played either of those. I hear Bonanza is fun, but I'm getting rid of it. And then the Whatnot Cabinet, I'll get rid of that one because I haven't played it, and I gotta get rid of something. Compounded, I've had Compounded for a while, and I think there's other games that do what Compounded does better, but I want to hold on to it because I feel like it's an interesting game. Like, it takes science in it, or it takes chemistry, and gives you like this engine building thing to it. I think games like Splendor and other engine building games do it better, like Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, but still I do want to hold on to it because I feel it's an interesting enough concept. Alright, we're almost there to the end of this page of shelves. Man, I have so many shelves. Whew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 5 from 10. I'm gonna be straight up with y'all, this is pretty easy. This box is empty. I have all my Marvel Legendary stored in a different storage container, so that's obviously gone. And then I'm not a fan of these particular games. Forbidden Island, or Forbidden Skies, is the worst in the Forbidden series, in my opinion. Mainly because it's very fiddly. It's kind of hard to get it to do what you need to do and line up. So that's not really helping. So that one's gone. I got it for $5, so that's why it's on the shelf. Also, I want to complete the Forbidden series. Seven Wonders, as an evergreen game, I'm not a big fan of it. It's not compelling enough for me, especially not as like a city building, civilization building, engine building, whatever building game. So that one is definitely on the rocks for me. Small World, once again, another evergreen game. I have it digitally too, but as a game when I'm playing it, I don't feel like I'm making any compelling decisions, me personally. And then Cosmic Encounter will be the final 5th one to go. Funny story about Cosmic Encounter. I purchased Cosmic Encounter, or sorry, I heard about Cosmic Encounter back when it was out of print a while ago. I forget what years this was, but I really wanted a copy of Cosmic Encounter, and I could not find a copy of Cosmic Encounter that was retail MSRP price. So what did I do? I decided that I was impatient, and I bought a copy from a collector on Amazon, so Amazon listing. So I paid about $100 for the game, and then I proceeded to not play it for like 5 or 6 months, and then it came out back in print. So Fantasy Flight put it back in print, and the price went back down to its normal MSRP of like $50, $60. And then I played it finally, and I was like, oh, I don't like this game. This is not fun. I don't have fun playing this game. It's too much random. So as a result, I gave somebody extra money for a game that I'm not even all that compelled to enjoy. And if I go back to my order here, it's 2015 according to Amazon's when I purchased it. And if I view my order details on Amazon, it looks like I paid, oh, I thought I paid more. Oh no, yeah, I paid $89 for it. So I think I said $115 earlier, so that's a lie. So $100, so $89, $90, still way more than I would. I mean, I don't enjoy the game, so yeah, was not a worthwhile investment. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8? Yes, 8. So 4 from 8 in the series. So 4 from 8, let's see. Oh man, this one's gonna be pretty easy because these 3 boxes are empty. All the Forgotten Circle stuff is in here, and all of these 2 Onitama stuff is inside of there. So that's in there, so that's easy to get rid of. And then I am getting rid of Gloomhaven. So, hear me out. I enjoy Gloomhaven as a concept, and I like the fact that it exists, but, and this is the reason why I didn't buy Frosthaven, but I did not really enjoy the narrative part of the game, because I kind of wanted Gloomhaven to be like this narrative D&D on rails type situation, but it was more of like a skirmish on rails situation, very much like Descent, very much like Star Wars Imperial Assault, very much like those style of games. And I was like, this is not the game I wanted. Also, it's very huge. Also, it takes up a lot of space on the table. Also, it takes a little bit to build and set up. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why I'm kind of against it. As far as a system, I understand it's very, very much regarded by a lot of people, and a lot of people love it. But hear me out. I love the crap out of Jaws of the Lion, because Jaws of the Lion fixes 2 of the problems that I did not like about Gloomhaven, the bigger box. 1, it's a smaller box, so I guess that's kind of a part, but you have way less content, so I guess it's not really fair. And then 2, the maps are just the books. Like, I love the book maps. Like, just if I mean, Frosthaven's already come out, and I think Frosthaven went with the same formula that Gloomhaven did, but just with more stuff and more phases. Okay, I don't want to be too reductive. It has a lot more stuff, but still, hopefully you get my point. But I just love the book situation, because you just take the book and then you flip to the pages for your map, and sometimes you have 2 books and you line them up. There's your map. You don't have to build anything. No pieces to fiddle with. No like this side or that side. No traps. It's already there. I just like it. So Jaws of the Lion is my go-to version of Gloomhaven, because I'm not too sold on playing it digitally. I know digitally is very fun and very compelling, but for me, I do kind of want to still play as physically, and I like Jaws of the Lion's system better. So, in the battle between Jaws of the Lion versus Gloomhaven Original, I think I'd choose Jaws of the Lion. If I had to choose between Gloomhaven or Frosthaven, I probably would try to go for Frosthaven, because it gives me a little bit more stuff. So I might replace Gloomhaven with Frosthaven one day, but I do not have the space for it. Anyway. Alright, cool. Enough of me trying to defend myself from people who are probably going to come after me for marking Gloomhaven for getting rid of. Alright, so I think we made it through that shelf. Oh, we're on our last shelf? We're on our last shelf, y'all. Celebration, we're on our last shelf. So this one is our last series of shelves. And these are going to be kind of interesting to get rid of. Ooh, I see. So this shelf should not have been there. Okay, that shelf was misplaced. I've already gone through this shelf, so yeah, we're partway there. Nice. Good to know. Okay. So let me put my line back in here. Let's see. So blue line I did. So let's put our little dividing line so I can kind of know. And then let's choose a color. Let's go with, I want to go with a nice vibrant color. Let me get like a fuchsia or pink. I want this pink down here. Why can't I has pink? There we go. All right, there we go. That wakes you up. All right, we got a nice bright pink to utilize here to mark our stuff with. So let's go ahead and move on into the first shelf. This is going to be 2 of 3. Oh man, whose idea was around up? Ooh, okay, okay. All right, this is going to be tough. So Lands of Galzar is gone. I think compared to Sleeping Gods, Lands of Galzar has significantly less game. I think I talked about this in one of my videos where I talked about 10 games I would be willing to play 10 times in a row. Lands of Galzar won as the narrative game only because it was very session locked. Like you played the one session, that was it, the game's over, and then you can keep going. It's a persistent world. Whereas Sleeping Gods, you gotta, I've qualified it as you have to play through the whole thing, and that's like a 20-hour campaign game. So as a result of that, I chose Lands of Galzar over Sleeping Gods. That said, Lands of Galzar as a game, I don't feel there's much game there. It's a very cool storytelling mechanism, and it's very interesting that you get to do some skill checks, but they don't feel like I don't feel like I'm being that involved in the story. I'm very passive. So that's why that one goes. Now between Star Wars Outer Rim and Rolling Heights, I think Rolling Heights wins only because I feel like Star Wars Outer Rim will eventually run out of stuff for me to be interested in doing. It's kind of already fallen a little bit to the wayside for me already, even with the expansion stuff. So maybe with more expansion stuff, it'll kind of open it up and make it a little bit more fun again for me. But right now, Rolling Heights is kind of hitting on all cylinders with the city building, pretty straightforward. It's I don't think Rolling Heights is quite an entry-level board game, but it's entry-level adjacent. So I like that it's entry-level adjacent, but it has enough depth to keep me interested, and rolling the meeples is always fun to do, and seeing the board physically build out. So many compelling things. So Outer Rim, unfortunately, is gone. So that was still painful, though, because I enjoyed Outer Rim quite a bit. I effectively say Outer Rim is like Shia, but it plays much better solo. Because like Shia Legends of a Drift System, I enjoy the game a lot. It's not my top board game of all my collection, but it's definitely up there in the top 10 list for sure for Shia Legends of a Drift System. But that's it. Star Wars Outer Rim plays better solo. Shia Legends of a Drift System plays better at 3 to 5, well 3 to 4 in my opinion. But we'll talk about that once we get to it. Anyway, next shelf. 2 of 3 again. This one's pretty easy. That's gone, and that's gone. So Ticket to Ride, we were talking about. I'm not that big of a fan of Ticket to Ride. I know the Markland one is interesting because it has like way stations or whatever, and all the other fun stuff. I have not actually played it. I got it from a friend who used to play it a lot with their partner, but then they sold me some of their board games, so I still have it. But it's also Ticket to Ride. It's like, am I going to be that interested in it? Probably not. Probably not. Going into the next one, Roll for the Galaxy. I like Race for the Galaxy as a digital game. And this is not Race for the Galaxy, this is Roll for the Galaxy. And I know Roll for the Galaxy is a different game, but even with Race for the Galaxy, it's a hodgepodge of symbols and arrows and numbers and maths, with an S, for those who like to use the word maths. Me as an American, I say math, but still, just paying homage to people who say math with multiple. Math as a multiple because it is multiple different types of math, so I do concede that point. Anyway, but yeah, Roll for the Galaxy has a lot of symbols and math and stuff, and it makes it a little bit harder to introduce to people. Whereas, in my opinion, playing it digitally on my phone, much more fun, much more compelling. It is in Race for the Galaxy, the card game version of it, much more fun. And then also, I think I'd rather play Jump Drive. Because like, yeah, I can play with a group, and yes, it's confusing, but the game itself lasts 15 minutes. So if people are confused on the very first game, then by the time the game's over, oh, the game's over. Then we play another game, it's like, oh, I get it now. And that gives people enough time to give like, 3 or 4 tries over the course of like maybe an hour of playing the game to fully understand and grasp the symbolism. And then if they're really interested, you can jump them straight into Race for the Galaxy or even Roll for the Galaxy from there. And then Flick 'em Up. Flick 'em Up is just an adorable game. I have the wooden version, which I'm very proud that I still have the wooden version. There is a plastic version, I think is what the current versions are, if it's still in print. But I got the wooden version, so I am proud that I have the wooden version. Okay, so here's, oh, speaking of double, Shia, Legends of Drift System. 2 of 4. This one's pretty easy to me. So Ice Cool can go. It's a fun dexterity game, but compared to these two, it's gone. And Hyperborea, Hyperborea is hard to find right now. It is out of print. I have the expansion for it, and it's I think if you want to buy it right now, you have to pay like $115 or something on Amazon if you buy it from Amazon. Last time I checked, at least. But that said, all said and done, Hyperborea ends up being like a bag builder with like 10 different mechanics. I like to explain Hyperborea as a board game with 16 different a board game with 16 different mechanics duct taped together. And that's cool, but I never actually sat down and played a full like experience game with it with people who played it at least once or twice. I played it once with a friend and we stumbled through the rules, but I completely forgot how it went. So I can't even recall that experience. That's how unimpactful I guess it was. But I still have it in my collection because it's, one, hard to find, and at the time I purchased it, I think I purchased it for like $20 back when it was kind of on fire sale on the internet. And I almost bought 2 copies so I could get the miniatures, but the miniatures weren't that good of a quality. But yeah, that's a different conversation. Anyway, Gaia Project, of course, is going to stay in Shia. I already talked about how much I like Shia with the expansions, so it stays. Alright, this shelf here is my party game shelf. So this is going to be pretty easy to burn through because there's some games in here I just don't like. But I have because they're there. Included in this one, behind all this, is Cards Against Humanity. That one can definitely go by itself, which is why it's not shown. But if it was showing, I would just immediately just throw that one out. It's Cards Against Humanity is apples to apples. It's not even edgy apples to apples anymore. It's just like apples to apples. But my frustrations aside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15. So that means I'm getting rid of 8. So 8 from 15. Okay. So unusual suspects can go because it's basically racial profiling the board game. I don't really have much else to say outside of that. It just is. The welcome to, is it welcome to the dungeon? Let me see. Yeah, welcome to the dungeon and welcome back to the dungeon. Actually, okay, maybe welcome back to the dungeon can stay. Since I only have to get, well, I have to get rid of 8. Never mind. It might go too. But yeah, welcome to the dungeon definitely goes as a base game. It's an interesting, compelling mechanic of you kind of pushing your luck, and the more you push your luck, the more harm you can do to your opponents. But sometimes you might get left with the bag, and you have to go through your horrible work. So you have to be very careful and cautious of that, of course. All right, next up is Wonky. I think Wonky can go. It's an interesting, compelling puzzle of a game, but Teeter Tower, in my opinion, does a better job of what Wonky does. So Teeter Tower makes it cooperative, and it does what that game does in a more interesting, compelling way. Also, sorry, I didn't realize my phone was going off this whole time. My bad for all the background noise, if you heard those during that entire time. Dixit Jinx, I want to hold on to it because I think it's interesting how that game works, from what I recall. I don't fully recall what exactly they did mechanically. I just remember it being cool sounding at least. Rock Paper Wizard can go. I did not enjoy that experience as much as I thought I would. It's interesting to have like changing rock paper scissors rules, but it just wasn't. It's a take that game with hand symbols. Like, I don't know what to say. One Night Ultimate Werewolf can go because it's a werewolf game. I'm not a big fan of that. And if I do have a werewolf game, or if I had to play a 1-round version of Werewolf, I would probably play a game not showing in this situation, which is what is it called? Crossfire. Not Crossfire, the game where you have like little metal balls you're shooting, but it's called Crossfire. It's a social deduction game that you play in 1 round. I like that much better. It's a little bit cleaner to put on the table. People can play it by sitting around. It's a much more compelling game. So that's why One Night Ultimate Werewolf will go. And then Bloodbound I'm going to hold on to. Of social deduction games that are in the vein of Werewolf or Mafia or stuff like that, I think Bloodbound is a much more compelling game. I think, I had a group of friends who played it around me because I was like, I'm not playing a social deduction game, man. So I kind of sat back and watched them play it, and it was fantastic. Like, they had a group of like 7 or 8 people playing, and it seemed really cool. It was compelling how the teams worked and how you secretly reveal some of your aspects to show which team you're on, and I think it was a very good game, which is why I still have it. So I tried to purchase it as soon as I could. It was out of print for a while, and I found a copy for a reasonable price, and I purchased it, so that's why it's here. So that one definitely stays. Anyway, I gotta get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more. Spit It Out can go. I don't have much else to say, so it's just very simple and meh. And of the rest of these games, I have Telestrations Actually, did I keep? Hold on, let me scroll back up. My apologies if this hurts your eyes, but I need to check because this was a long time ago. Oh, okay. I kept Telestrations of Party Edition, so that means by default, Telestrations the 6-player version can go. So this one can go. This game here is cull, the Travel Edition, and I like cull because my mom and my stepfather, when they played board games, they would go on date nights. They would go on date nights and they would play Scrabble on date nights. So that just lets you know how my parents were. And it's interesting because I would never play a word game with my mom or my stepfather or even the rest of my family out there because I'm just bad at spelling in general. But with that said, cull is basically Scrabble but without words. It's just numbers and symbols not numbers, just symbols and math. And I can actually play cull with my mom. She still kicked my butt, but I came within 3 points. I'm just saying, I had a chance. So, my family life aside, yeah, this is cull. And then it looks like Welcome to can survive. So yeah, so that's 8, 3, 8. Okay, cool. Next shelf. We're getting towards the end, y'all. We're getting towards the end. It's been a long battle, no worries. Once we get to the end, we'll also do a recap of all the games. And actually, I think I'll make a third video to where I'll do a recap of everything. So let's go through the shelves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's going to be 6 of 11. And let's see. Oh, let's change up our music here. It's like the 20th time I've heard this music. Okay. All right, so we gotta get rid of 6 of these. So, get the cheese. I don't remember playing that game ever. I don't remember what that game's about. I guess it's gonna go since I have no fond memories of it. The fittest, I think you need at least 4 people to play it. Let me see, it's right here next to me. Or is it a 5-player? It's a 4 to 6 player game. Ew, gross. So yeah, the fittest can go. This one can go. It's a roll and write game that it's very simple, simplistic. Meh. Avalanche Yeti Mountain is sad. I live in North Carolina, in the United States. So I think Avalanche Mountain is made by a North Carolina developer or publisher or designer, one of those things. So it feels bad getting rid of it, but I'm getting rid of it in this listing. So 2 more. I think Diner can go. I think I played it once. I wasn't all that compelled by the game. I think Pie Factory was an interesting game, so I'm gonna hold on to that one. And finally, Bell of the Ball. It has interesting mechanics and it has an interesting system to it, but it just, I guess it wasn't for me. Flowerfall is a dexterity game with cards. It's very silly, whimsical fun. You just drop cards and then they land and you try to score points based on how your colors are showing. It's very weird, and I like it because it's just a strange dexterity game. So going on 1, 2, oh sorry, 3, 6. Okay, that's all 6. I think next to last shelf. Wait, do I have this twice? What is this twice? Oh, because this is the correct place for it. I see. All right. Okay, so going to our next to last shelf here before we do our review of everything. Which, actually, no, I lied. We're going to do another video for a review, right? Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is... Actually, no, I'm not going to do... I'll do the recap in this video because why don't I make a third video that talks about everything, spoils everything. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8, right? So 4 from 8. All right. I have not played these two, and I've had them for a very long time. I purchased them from a friend. I never played them. I think Carlos Magnus, I was told, is a very good 2-player game. I have not played it though, so unfortunately it's going to be one of the ones struck. Lancaster is going to be struck as well because I guess I haven't played it. I don't know what it's about. Maybe it's like old mechanics. Robinson Crusoe can go. That game is so brutal. I think I have an expansion for it. I don't know if I do. I don't know if it ever came out as expansion when it was Z-Man. But this is like the is this the first edition? What edition is this? Does it say? I don't know what edition this is. But it's not the newest version of Robinson Crusoe. And I just remember playing it and like the leopards ate my face. and it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I die. So surprisingly, I'm gonna hold on to Star Wars Risk. It is for those who follow board games, the Queen's Gambit, Star Wars: The Queen's Gambit is a game, and Queen's Gambit has not come out. It's like this big, massive production of a game. It takes like a nice big chunk of a table space and everything. It takes maybe 2 tables even, and you're fighting 3 little battles. You're fighting a battle on Naboo. You're fighting in the Empire's castle, and you're like flying your ships to like destroy the Death Star and stuff like that. And it's a 2-player game, and you're fighting 3 different battles. So you play cards, and those cards will tell you which battle you're fighting in, but you only play like 2 cards every turn. So you play 2 cards, your opponent plays 2 cards, and you know, one person plays the Sith, one person plays the Jedi or whatever. And long story short, the Rebel versus the Empire, and it's a very interesting mechanic. And it has not been recreated since. Star Wars Risk is named Risk, which is a misnomer, because it's actually Star Wars Queen's Gambit Light. And I thought it was very fun. I like the game a lot, so I'm holding on to that one. That said, of all these 5 left, 5? Is it? Wait, did I count wrong? Oh, it's 4. Oh, the 7 here. Yeah, okay, I did math badly. I still gotta get rid of 4 though, because I'm rounding up. Of these 4 left, I gotta get rid of 1 more, and I think it's gonna be the Long Night. So Dead of Winter base game is fun enough. Like honestly, Dead of Winter as a game, like I could probably do without it. Like it was interesting when it first came out, and that was like somewhere near the beginning of my board game journey, and it was like an interesting, compelling concept, but ultimately didn't hold for me. So the expansion forward, maybe it adds stuff, maybe it doesn't. I don't know if it's compelling enough, but it's gone. So cool. All right, our last shelf before we do our recap. Let me just go and delete this so I don't accidentally go through this shelf too. Our last shelf before we do our recap, we have the AEG Black Box 2016. I think this one had some deck building game inside of it, and Pretense, and like some other game, a specialized version of Love Letter. I forget exactly what was in the box in this one, but it can go before I even count. But let's go and count first, or let's go and count as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 from 5. Oof, that's tough. Oh, that's tough. It's tough because Devastation has to stay, in my opinion. And I really want to finish playing through Imperial Assault. But I kind of feel the same way about Imperial Assault that I feel about Gloomhaven. But since I've considered getting rid of Gloomhaven, I feel like I need to hold on to Imperial Assault. Which means that Pret-a-Porter's gone, and so is Wingspan. Which, you know, now I'm thinking about it, it's fine. Because Pret-a-Porter, once you play like 5 or 6 times, you kind of figured out the game. It doesn't really change much outside of that. It doesn't become more variable. It just becomes, what order do you do the thing in? But there's like a definite thing that you must do to win, or thing that you can do to win. Like there's like 5 different paths to victory. And if you don't take any of those 5 paths, you're just not going to win. You're just going to be floundering. So as a result, I think Pret-a-Porter becomes solvable at a certain point once you play it a few times. And because of that solvability of the game, because it's basically an efficiency puzzle with a little bit of a few variables, sorry, a lot of variables, not a few variables, but it's an efficiency puzzle, I think it becomes solvable. So as a result, it can probably go. I've already talked earlier in this video about Wingspan and how I'm not that big of a fan of it as a game, so it can go too. So I think that wraps up this one. All right, so we have finished our grand list of games, and there have been some pretty surprising casualties. Like I don't think there was any like ultra painful casualties overall. I think there were some difficult choices, but I don't think there were any like, you know, this is brutal type situations. So let's go ahead and just go through the list and figure out how many games I have marked, how many games have I condemned, if you will. So let's clear my calculator. So let's do 3. And this is just for anybody who's watching this video who didn't watch the first video. Spoiler alert, I'm going to go through all the games. I'm scrolling here. Oof. That one's technically more than 5 games, but I marked that section as 1. Scrolling more. Plus 3, plus 4, plus 4. Actually, well, yeah, I'll keep it here. So then +3. Ugh. +3. +4. Lots of math here. All right, let me zoom you out to another view because I'm hoping this is not hurting anybody's head looking at it. But this is me doing my stuff here. Much more interesting angle, I know. I know. Ooh, a lot of +2s in here. +4, +7. That's a lot. Plus another 7. Man, I had 2 7s in a row. Jeez. So far I'm at 105 games gone. +4. Yes, the most exciting part of the video. Oh, let me turn on the music so we can enjoy it a little bit more. I think it's a pretty song. All right. So, I mean, I probably could have done the math some other way, to be honest. But of the games that we have showing here, my total came out to be 205 games that were gone, that were struck from the showing collection. Now, there's probably some expansions like Neuroshima Hex. I have nearly every army that's come out, including the Pirates, which is the most recent one that I remember seeing. I don't know if that's the newest one that exists. That's the newest one I remember seeing. So that goes a long way to say that there are some games in my collection that are not showing, that are not included in the number, because I think my Boardgame Geek list shows that I have 530 something games. Actually, I can look that up. Can I look that up? Should I look that up? All right, let me switch away from the screen just in case something weird pops up. I'm on a guest account, so it's not like it's any of my normal stuff. But just in case I want to be weird here. Oh, yep. Okay, cool. Glad I did that, because it totally showed my email address there. All right, sweet. Okay, I think this is me. There I am. Okay, cool. All right. So here's Boardgame Geek. This is my Boardgame Geek page, just me showing some stuff. So my collection apparently consists of 100 or 530 games. With those games, oh, is it counting this? Oh, maybe that's why. I'm not sure if it's counting this 45 in that list, in that number there too. If it is, then I have 400 and oh, I just had the number. 405. 405? Nope. 485. That's math, right? Yeah, 485. But yeah. So yeah, so kind of going through my list and getting rid of, I mean, paring down from 503, or sorry, 530 down to minus 530, paring down to 325. I mean, that'll be a massive jump in like the games that I kind of cut through. So this list, I mean, it's a lot of games, but if I really needed to pare down my collection, I apparently could do it. Like there were some games that I didn't feel all that attached to that got nixed. So games like Legends or games like Lands of Galzar, like for that one for instance, I would be okay with letting go. Some of the empty boxes that I have that are just kind of there for prosperity reasons, especially when it comes to legendary. Like if I got rid of all of my legendary boxes, for instance, that would save so much shelf space and I can do a whole bunch of stuff. There's something to be said about being able to save space. And music needs to calm down. Something to be said about being able to save space and conserve space, like get rid of some stuff that you don't need. I mean, this goes into the whole concept of like, you know, are you a board game player or a board game collector? I think I'm kind of straddling the line between a collector and a player, because I really want to hold on to Max vs. Minions, for instance, but I don't think I actually want to sit down and play it. And also, same thing with like having the whole entire set for Railroad Inc. It's like, do I need all of it? Probably not. If I can get the big box, I probably would just throw everything to the big box that Railroad Inc. has, and then maybe discard the small boxes. But I'm also the kind of person who holds onto my expansion boxes and my, when I get technology, I hold onto my laptop boxes and my tablet boxes. So consider it a hoarding situation, consider it a return value situation in the future. I don't know. It's a thing that maybe I can look into more with me personally as a person who plays board games and a person who has limited space, especially considering my current living arrangement. But that said, no, this is actually a very entertaining video, like very informative too. Because I kind of got to sit down, talk out my process of going through all the games and talking about why I would include one game versus another, and then kind of see that I don't really have much of attachment to some games that I thought I might have had an attachment to. Like the swiftness that I got rid of Spirit Island, the Horizons version, I was like, oh yeah, just get rid of that. I got the whole game digitally. Why do I need it physically? Which also begs the question, with a lot of these games that I do have digitally, why do I have them physically too? Especially if I'm only going to play solo. Like cartographers, I can probably get rid of all my cartographers because I don't think I want to play the game physically. Another game that exists somewhere in here, maybe Takenoko. I think Takenoko has an app that I can play and probably enjoy myself that way. Don't quote me on that. It may not have an app, but if it did, I would probably play it. I'd probably enjoy it more that way. Although I think Takenoko is a good introduction game for some people. And then like the Forbidden series, like, I don't really think Forbidden Island and Forbidden Desert are my speed of game anymore. And as a result of that, it's like, why do I still have them? It's like, it might be a good introduction for some other people, but how many introduction games do I need? And speaking of which, this entire shelf over here, nearly all the games in the shelf probably could go, and I wouldn't feel too bad about it. I say nearly all because Captain Sonar, I'll feel a little bit of feelings with that one, and Pyramid Arcade, I'll feel a little bit of feelings with that one. But the rest of them, they can probably go. So that, once again, it begs the question, when you have board games and when you're in the board game hobby, how many board games do you have? Why do you have them? Are you going to play them? One question that some people like to ask when trying to get rid of clutter or stop them from hoarding is a simple question of, am I gonna use this in the next month? And if not, then why do I have it? Some people expand that question, or it can be expanded upon by saying, okay, am I going to use this in a month? And if the answer is no, then can I get this back within a week? And if the answer is yes to both of those, then get rid of it. But, just different techniques and approaches that you can do. They're not an exact science, but those are things that I recall. Those are things that I've been informed of from people who say, hey, CulBlu, you have so many board games. Have you considered getting rid of some? And I was like, no, they're my games. They're mine, my precious. Anywho, so that was actually, like I said, very informative. I learned a lot. I got to look through all my collection. I actually learned that some of my games here were missing. Like, for instance, Cupcake Empire was not listed on my Board Game Geek. So Cupcake Empire over here, I had it for a while, but I never put it into my Board Game Geek. So I actually need to go through this list in visual list and just compare it to my current existing listing and make sure that I have all my expansions and games listed. So that way I can have a better manifest of what I do have, just in case I ever need to know for some reason. Okay, cool. At any rate, this video has gone on for quite some time, so thank you all for joining me for my rambling and me exploring this particular category or genre of video. I don't know if this is the type of video that I would do very often, but one, I got to use my tablet, which is fun, and then two, maybe in the future I'll do some gaming on my tablet, since I keep talking about how I had this game digitally, I had that game digitally. But this is actually a very cool thing. So hopefully you all got as much value out of it as I feel I have, and hopefully you all enjoyed it as much as I have. So yeah, if you want to make a video like this yourself, or maybe just make a list, feel free to go for it, and be sure to use the same swift calculations that I did. And by that I mean just kind of by the seat of my pants. And yeah, that's it. So thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you all whenever.